the women because we did not have a lot of women represented on the show. And after Raw went off the air, the Bella Twins decided to take to their Instagram lives
You
and call out
cannot.
WWE for the lack of women's revolution representation throughout the show. And there, I think there has been a couple other girls that have kind of co-signed what they were saying. Like I saw Maria Kanellis kind of hinted at something. I don't know who else has said anything. I haven't paid attention, but their main points were they were disappointed basically that they weren't there or that they weren't really shown, and that they feel like there wasn't a lot of the women's revolution shown. And to a certain extent I can agree, but in other aspects I think that they just need to take themselves down a notch, because I do think that they think that they are better than they actually are, or that they were more instrumental in the women's division than they actually were. And um I understand having some issues with it, because I do feel, the women's revolution started on Raw. It was with Paige, it was with Becky, it was with Charlotte, it was with Sasha. So it's like I remember that day happening. I was at work and I remember my sister texting me being like, "Oh my god, Paige is on Raw." Like, "Oh my god, this is happening." Like, I remember. And so it does kind of suck that they didn't show us that. And a lot of it is going to be because Sasha is no longer with the company, and neither is Saraya, who is now in AEW. So to, business standpoint, sure.
It makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
but Nikki needs to take a little step backwards, honey, because her show was advertised during Raw, her wedding show.
And
So
Barmageddon
I
follows
know
it.
constantly. The only and this is the thing, is like I think that people forget. Like, I don't want to discredit them for, putting the wrestling stuff into like reality TV, because that is a huge thing that, that's why like Ms. and Mrs. has a show, and why they got spin-offs and whatever. The Bellas left WWE. The only reason they came back was because of Total Divas. That's the only reason. So if we say that Total Divas never happened, where would they be? Would we be talking about Nikki and Brie Bella right now? No. Would they be in the Hall of Fame? No. Would they be complaining right now? No. So I get their argument to a certain point, but I do think the fact that they're trying to involve themselves in something and make it about them is just wrong, because Lita was advertised. She wasn't there. We didn't see Trish. We didn't see any of those women. Molly Holly, none of those women were there. And I
Yeah.
think that those are more so people that would have wanted to be seen by the fans than the Bellas.
Yeah, I usually don't go on little tangents like this about the Bellas because obvious
There's
reasons.
only a few people that I can go on tangents about, and they're just one of them.
No, but
So
they're literally kind of becoming that with how the wrestling landscape has changed, and they're known for it becoming popular in pop culture. And that's
mhm.
not a bad thing. I want to just preference my point by saying their influence on the wrestling industry is not a bad thing. But
Right.
on this Raw last night, it was not about that. It was about the show itself and the wrestling element. Nikki Bella and Brie Bella are good wrestlers, good, but they are not that next caliber that would make them, in today's, world or whatnot. Like you're gonna see Nikki Bella in a Hell in a Cell match, and you can see Nikki Bella in a Money in the Bank. You'll see her in a Royal Rumble, but that's not that next echelon. And that's my issue with them, is that it has nothing to do with them as people. It is all about the show and what they wanted to do. And honestly, for their comments about who was not shown, I mean, she's not even Sasha Banks. She's Mercedes Moné, and she works for another company right now, and
Exactly.
maybe another one. So she's not going to be there, and they're not going to bring her up.
It's the same
Lita,
thing with Paige or
different.
Saraya. She's
Saraya,
working
they're
in
not going
their
to bring up.
yeah, they're
They're not.
not. And it's not like a discredit, because this is a thing too. It was recent. I think it was Saraya that talked about it herself, that Triple H didn't know about her release and that they weren't like extending her. He had no idea. He had no
No
involvement in
idea.
that. So like if we're going to talk about, oh, well, of course they don't want to like show them. It's like, okay, but Vince isn't involved in that kind of stuff, and Triple H had
All
nothing to
business.
do with
All
either
business.
of
Yep.
them being let go. So like I don't know. I just think it's gross. Like you can't bite the hand that feeds you. So it's like you know, and it's like it's what Freddie said. Freddie said, watch them both be in the Rumble, and they're talking all that ish on Instagram Live. Exactly. Like I would not be surprised if they're there on Saturday, and yet they're still like on Instagram, like talking crap. And you know that they were bothered because they either were canceled on, like they were like, we don't need you, or they weren't shown. Because why are you getting on your Instagram Live talking about how you're bothered about all of this stuff? You were clearly bothered enough that you weren't shown, and that's why you got on, because you very easily could have taken to Twitter and just been like, where's all the women's segments, or what happened to Becky versus Bailey? Those are complaints that are legitimate and that you could have, but you made it about yourself again, because that's what you guys do, because you guys think that you're on the level up here with Trish, Lita, Charlotte, all of these other people, and you're not. I'm sorry. When we think about the best women's matches of all time, the Bella Twins are not going to be in there. So, nor do I think about Raw and think about them. The first thing that I think of when I think about Raw when it comes to women, Trish and Lita. China. Like, those are the women I think about. The Bellas, I don't think about them.
Sunny.
Shut up. Stop it.
She was the OG diva. Like,
okay,
I'm
well,
sorry,
you know what?
as hot as she was.
Because you're being serious now, but, you know.
I am being serious.
I know.
With
I know.
Sunny.
But anyway.
She wasn't a wrestler. She was the diva.